吃得多，吃得饱。And then you can say, oh, I have a food baby.
就像怀孕了一样。
麻辣烫、麻辣拌、麻辣香锅。What do you like? What about, can you say spicy boys?
不可以。
辣帅哥。
辣哥不说，
辣哥
这很土。
A lot of people have difficulty cutting. Sometimes I have to help people cut because it's too painful to watch. I think, oh my God, you're killing that meat that's already dead. I feel like I learned that you can eat duck feet. I didn't know people were eating duck feet. And now I don't know how I'm going to look at ducks the same. I'm going to be thinking about their poor little feet. Today we were going to talk about food. I have like 6 different things and hopefully we can get into some of the differences, food differences. I don't really like talking about food, the topic so much. It's hard to escape.
是的，是的，就像西方喜欢讨论天气一样。
Yes.
中国喜欢讨论食物。
So Jenny's saying like in English, a lot of people talk about the weather. That's very similar to China, talking about food. This is kind of similar, but I feel like Chinese go way harder. They go way harder, way deeper into food. How about we just jump into some of this stuff, yeah? Let's just jump into it. So number 1, spicy food. Like, do you like spicy, very spicy, or very, very spicy?
我喜欢很辣的食物。
Nice.
我也喜欢很辣的食物。我喜欢火锅、麻辣烫。
But like, okay, so they both like spicy food, but like, what level of spiciness do you like?
中等 medium。
中等，我也喜欢中等。
不能太辣。
你知道中国的话辣的等级有哪些吗？微辣、中辣、重辣。
Oh, like 重 and 重。
变态辣。
重
okay.
中 middle 重 heavy。
Heavy.
还有变态辣 like 魔鬼辣。
Say that again?
That's 变态。
变态。
太辣。
I thought that word means like a bad person.
Yeah.
What? How do I not know that?
学到了一个新词。
Yeah, I'm learning today. This is good. Okay, so there's different levels of spiciness. They both like 重 or 重. Which one? 重. 中辣。
有的时候重也可以。
Okay, so they I just like 微辣.
微辣。
If I get like 麻辣烫 or like hot pot, I just get 微辣.
你喜欢吃辣的食物吗？
I'm gonna say I like 拉面.
那不辣呀。
I I add a little bit, like so it's just really like 清淡. So they like 重 and YiLin says sometimes 重, which is like heavy. So the levels are like 微辣, and then 中辣, and then 重辣, which is and then 变态变态辣. Can I actually say that in a restaurant though, or are people gonna say people?
可以，你可以在餐厅说变态辣，但是我觉得你承受不了。
Okay, all right. She thinks I can't handle the 变态辣.
是的。
And I probably can't, yeah. Okay, let me ask you a question. 麻辣烫、麻辣拌、麻辣香锅. What do you like? 麻辣拌、麻辣烫、麻辣香锅.
麻辣拌是什么？
麻辣香锅。
麻辣拌是什么东西？
I think it's
干拌
noodles.
麻辣烫。
Yeah, it's like 干的 no soup. 麻辣拌.
其实我觉得麻辣拌和麻辣香锅可能是差不多。
都是干的。
我喜欢麻辣烫，我喜欢麻辣烫。
So 麻辣烫 is like spicy soup.
Yes, with soup 有汤。
有汤。
What about you? 麻辣拌、麻辣烫、麻辣香锅.
我也比较喜欢麻辣烫，因为我也想喝汤。
A lot of girls like 麻辣烫 because they think it helps them lose weight. Is that true?
真的吗？
麻辣烫会减肥吗？不会吧。
I thought that's why girls like it.
你为什么会这么觉得？
Well, I used to eat it all the time. I love it because lots of vegetables. Many vegetables. But
这是一个原因，就是你麻辣烫里面你可以放很多蔬菜，这很健康。但是不健康的是，它有非常
重油重盐。
重油重盐，而且你会吃得多。
麻辣烫 is probably the most popular one, right? Sichuan and Chongqing.
对，我去过重庆，也去过四川。
都去过。
对，
So the people tell me like Sichuan is like the spicy capital of China. Is that true?
是的。
It's also the panda capital of the world. I've never seen a panda. But I heard in Korea they recently had 2 baby pandas. Did you see that?
我知道，我经常在网上看那个视频，就是中国的2只大熊猫，然后有一个韩国爷爷。他那个2个大熊猫叫什么？你记得吗？我好想查一下。
Let's leave the spicy food for a moment. Okay, here is number 2. Here we go. Chicken, beef, pork, or vegetarian?
我是牛肉吧。
我选鸡肉。
I also choose chicken and beef. But if I'm in China, I probably go... Oh, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what I do. Okay, so what is the most popular meat in China?
Every meat.
Okay.
差不多。
差不多。
What I want to know is, do you have any vegetarian friends in China? Not in New Zealand, because...
我就见过一个，是我的大学老师，他是一个纯素食主义者。
Are they from China? Chinese?
对，他是中国人。
Do you know where they're from in China?
他应该是宁夏人，我不是很清楚他是具体来自哪个地区，但是他是在那里工作。
我不知道哎，因为我喜欢吃肉，我的朋友和我一样。
And I'm asking you this because sometimes I don't want to eat meat. And I don't know why this is, maybe sometimes I feel bad for the animals. Sometimes I think too much. Sometimes I feel like not eating meat sometimes makes me feel good, feel better. And I never met a vegetarian. Listen, I don't think I met a vegetarian in China, but there's plenty of vegetarians here in New Zealand.
对，我也听说过很多素食主义者，在新西兰有很多这样的。
I just had a lot of trouble dealing with that in China because I sometimes I don't even think that that's a thing. Like sometimes I feel like that's not something that people talk about because it's complicated in China when you eat because often you're not the person that orders the food. And sometimes you have like big, a lot of people eating a lot of different types of food and it's like impossible to just go vegetarian, And I feel like pork in China is like a pretty big deal. Yeah. Have you had Beijing Duck? Have you had it in Beijing?
北京
Duck.
烤鸭。
Yeah.
对啊。
And you had it in Beijing?
对，
okay.
在北京也吃过，但是我不太喜欢。
Yeah, that was different for me because we don't really eat duck here in New Zealand. Generally.
不吃鸭吗？
所以在新西兰不吃鸭子吗？
Well, it's maybe there are some people, but that's not really something you see on a menu very often. Like mostly only in a Chinese restaurant you would see duck, or maybe some Asian restaurants maybe.
我觉得就像这个鹿肉吧，对吧？中国就从来不吃，我之前从来没吃过。
So she's saying lu, which is deer. Is that deer?
Venison.
Or elk. Yeah, venison. But also another thing in China is donkey. Like I saw some places selling donkey meat.
驴肉火烧，但是我没有吃过。
驴肉，在我家经常吃。
我觉得在中国不同的地方，它都有不同倾向的肉。对。
What's 倾向的？
就是
不同地区
种类
南北方差异。
对，就是相当于pre-reference，这种。
Yeah, I think the big difference really is that Chinese people will basically eat anything. Yeah, and then I don't mean to be rude, but sometimes I see pictures. I mean, not everything. I don't mean everything, but you eat a lot more different things like different parts. Someone's calling me. Like if you have an animal, there's like very few things are left behind as like, things you just throw away. So like chicken feet, for example, and chicken heart is very popular.
我觉得是因为中国人他有这种智慧，能够把这些东西、这些部位做得很好吃，就是会有各种的方法、烹饪的技巧 （cooking ways、cooking methods） 让这些食物变得很好吃。 但是你像西方人，他们吃鸡的话，其实很多部位他会把它丢掉，这不也是一种浪费吗？对吧
Yes, yeah.
对吧？
We waste a lot of food, definitely.
这是一种浪费，但是我觉得既然能把它利用起来，为什么不利用呢？对吧？你吃过 chicken feet 吗？
I think I tried it. I think I licked it. And I was like, nah, I can't do it. Sorry.
有更多很好吃的，
I
还有
know.
chicken neck,
Yeah.
duck neck.
Yeah, I had a friend that loves chicken feet. Like she would, at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, she'd be
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I really want to eat some chicken feet.
Yeah.
And I think, what? Why?
对，
Okay, so that's unusual for me.
我就很喜欢吃那个鸡爪、鸭爪，尤其是在晚上的时候，
鸡爪还有什么？
鸭爪、
鸭爪。
鸭掌，我们叫鸭掌，不叫鸭爪。
鸭爪、鸭掌都可以吃。
哦，对，
Are we saying duck feet?
duck feet, duck feet.
Oh my God, you can eat duck feet? I didn't know that. Let me ask you another one. This is a question that I cannot understand. I don't even know how to answer this question. It just feels so unusual to me, but people always ask this question. Rice or noodles?
如果非要选择的话，我选面。
What does that mean? 如果是非要的 what is
非要选择的话 ，if you have to choose one， 我会选择面 noodles。
我会选择米饭 rice。
And is this like the common answer from the place that you live, like your hometown?
对，可能北方人更喜欢吃面吧，南方可能更喜欢吃米。
Okay, so people in the north of China, they prefer to eat noodles, and people in the south generally prefer rice. Okay.
这个是一个很明显。
But you're not, you're from the south.
I'm from middle。
The middle, okay.
在我们家乡就是米面都会吃。
So if you're in the middle, you can do both.
对对对。
Oh, that's confusing. Okay. What's happening in like the west or the east?
东西方的话，我觉得是我们平时不会这么去说，这么去分辨，但是我觉得西方面食比较出名吧，对吧？
Have you ever tried brown rice?
没有。
是糙米吗？
Brown rice 怎么翻译啊？
I don't know. I think it's more expensive, and it takes longer to cook, and it's darker color, and it's thicker, and it's maybe it's
更健康是吗？
yeah, that's what people say anyway. A lot of people that eat brown rice, that's yep.
我没有尝试过。
Yeah, and I don't remember seeing brown rice much or ever in the restaurants that I went to. I never saw brown rice. But like, for example, my dad, he loves making brown rice. He prefers brown rice.
好吃吗？
I mean, white rice tastes better, I think. But you know, white rice, you can eat so much of it. And I just don't know if that's a good thing. I mean, it is. It's so delicious, but some people say maybe it's not so
所以
good for you.
brown rice 更健康。
Maybe, yeah. Yes and no. Let us move on. I have a friend, and my friend, he sometimes jokes about Chinese people's way of eating. He says that using chopsticks is very primitive, like an ancient thing from a long time ago, the caveman days. And he prefers knife and fork. What do you guys... That's just my friend's opinion, though. I mean, I love chopsticks. But what do you prefer using, chopsticks or a knife and fork when you eat?
我是觉得这两种对我来说都一样，因为它只是一种工具，只是一种方式。对于不同的食物来说，哪个更方便你就用哪个呀。
对，像是你在家里吃饭，我们一般假如是米饭的话，你是没有办法用刀和叉子的，
对，
你只能用筷子夹菜，因为我们是喜欢那种一碗一碗分享着的那种 share 着，所以我们要用筷子去夹。我觉得像刀和叉可能更适用于自己一盘菜的那种。
这是中西方用餐方式的差异。对，就是我就觉得不用去管太多，哪个方便就怎么来就行了。
Okay, so you guys, it seems like you you're open to using both. But in China, sometimes it's difficult to use a knife and fork because there's only often chopsticks, just chopsticks. Sometimes I think chopsticks are actually more healthier than using a knife and fork. Like when you're sharing food, it feels a lot easier just using chopsticks because you can just take one little thing at a time. So there's definitely benefits. I feel also I can get like more food into my mouth faster with chopsticks.
我还喜欢用勺子呢。
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here, okay, so I have a more meaningful question. Some people told me that the way that the way you hold your chopsticks can tell people your distance from your family. Have you heard this before? So if I hold my chopsticks high, right, very far away from the food, then it means that I am a person who is far away from my parents, or the relationship with my parents is distant, for example. Is this a thing? Have you heard this before?
我听过这个，但我们是有一点类似这个说法，就是说你要是夹筷子夹得远的话，代表你是远嫁的。
What's that?
然后就是你是会离父母很远，就是你未来结婚的那个地方可能会离父母有一定的距离，远嫁。
She heard that if you hold chopsticks very high, and it means that when you grow up, you will be far away from your parents. You will get married to a guy who is far away, and you will live far away from your parents.
So be careful if you're using chopsticks. Maybe just hold it in the middle. Yeah? Yep. Okay.
但是我从小我觉得关于使用筷子，我不知道这一点，但是我妈妈一直告诉我，就是用筷子夹菜，不能够翻。You can't, you know.
不能翻菜是吧？
对，不能翻菜。
So you can't put don't leave the chopsticks in the food?
No,
what you mean?
it's just like when there is 这有一盘菜，你不能 You can only use your chopsticks to get the top. Yeah.
Don't dig into the food. Okay.
不礼貌。
Right. So no digging, just picking, maybe. There were a lot of people in China that asked me. They say, do you know how to use chopsticks? They asked me this question.
那你知道吗？
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. Try if someone can speak like a good amount of Chinese, they definitely know how to use chopsticks. But I think what you find is like a lot of people in New Zealand know how to use chopsticks because we have
我也发现了。
Yeah, right? So, but I think there's a lot of Chinese people. I see Chinese people using knives and forks, and I think, wow, they're not very good.
真的吗？
Not very good at it. Yeah. A lot of people have difficulty cutting. Sometimes I have to help people cut because it's too painful to watch. I think, oh my God, you're killing that meat that's already dead. You know, let me do this for you. Oh my God, because I just can't handle it. Okay, let's leave chopsticks and knife and fork. Maybe this can be like the last one. Cooking at home or buying takeaways in your China life or student life in China or even here in New Zealand also okay.
我觉得在中国，我肯定是 take away， 我就是一般都是打包，然后
I mean like ordering the food, you know, like it's delivered to you.
对对对，
Did I say, maybe I should have said delivered, food delivered instead of
外
takeaway.
卖外卖。
Yeah.
在中国我经常点外卖，然后在这里的话，我觉得这是一种学习吧，学会自己做饭，也挺有意思的，因为在这里点外卖很不方便。
对，
Yeah, we just don't have it.
我的学生生活中一般都是吃学校食堂，然后要么就是打包带回宿舍吃。
我觉得你应该也很能感受这一点吧？你在中国肯定就是在外面吃。
Usually I would go out and eat, but it's only because the app, you know, like to like 美团外卖 and 饿了么, those apps are in Chinese. And it's hard for me to understand, to read that.
对啊。
So it was 麻烦. And in the last few years in China, I used it more and more. But in the first few years, I just thought it was so difficult. I could order McDonald's. That was very easy. But other things like Chinese restaurants, and sometimes they call you and they ask you questions, like extra questions. And it's like, oh my God, like I can't understand what you're talking about. And then they deliver it and I realize like this is not the picture. So you can't just rely on the picture. You have to really understand much more than just looking at pictures. So, because Chinese food is complicated. No, I was gonna say.
那现在呢？你自己做饭吗？
Yeah, well, here you have to cook, but in China, I didn't cook very much in China. That's
是的，是的。
didn't really.
你喜欢做饭吗？
Sometimes it's better to cook with other people, I think. Or if I have like some good podcast, like Regan Radio, and I can listen to that when I'm cooking, that's great.
对，我在做饭的时候就会听 Regan Radio。
Love it, nice.
那你平时做什么呀？
Indian food. I make a lot of Indian food and stir fries. I have a little like recipe book.
哦，真的啊？
Yeah, because
下次分享一下。
but the thing is like in New Zealand everyone just has to become a chef. Like you have to learn how to cook.
对
And
对
so
对。
when I was younger I did something smart. I wrote down all of the recipes that I tried that I liked. So I have my own little personal recipe. But I'm sure, there's a lot of people that have a lot of cooking books and there's a lot of people here that are actually pretty good at cooking.
OK，
Because we're
那你
forced to
看来
cook.
你很经验丰富啊。所以，那你平时做饭会花多久啊？
I try not to cook complicated stuff. So if it's like, if I can make it in like 20 minutes or 15 minutes, that's
20 分钟。
perfect. Yeah. But some things like take longer. Like I have a homemade pizza recipe and you have to make the dough, like make the base. And it takes time. Like
哇，
takes
这你都会？
2 hours or something. Yeah, well, I mean, it's all available. All the information's in the books.
我也在
so-
学习呢，我觉得很有意思，学习做饭很有意思。
Yeah, this is good training for Chinese people coming here. Because I noticed there's a lot of people, young people in China that can't cook.
对
对
对对对。
But it's not your fault. It's not Chinese people's fault. It's just a lot of universities don't let you cook.
对，
对啊，
学校那个宿舍是不让做饭的。
对，
Yeah, it's a fire problem, right?
对，安全 safety。
Safety problem, yeah. You don't want to
而且
burn
食
down.
堂真的很高级。
That's true as well. Like my university had little restaurants and cafes, but it didn't have like a big place where you can like eat food. Like you have the cafeterias in Chinese, and a lot of the students, when they talk about other universities, they often the first thing they talk about is like the cafeteria. Like, does it have a good cafeteria?
对对。
And they might say this university has really good food, and that university doesn't have very good food. So that's a different kind of conversation for me. Like that's new for me.
美食其实也是现在很多大学宣传的一个点，你知道吗？
What's that?
吸引学生。
吸引学生 ，attract students and become famous in food.
Like what? Can you think of is there a specific university you can think of?
No， 就是现在很多大学在 publicize 的时候 ，food 也是 one part。
但这个我能听得懂 but like 有没有 Can you 给我们一个例子 like 一个比较有名的大学在中国？
好，就像我知道的哈，华中科技大学，
Where's that?
Confucius Institute，
Beijing?
武汉，
武汉？
对，武汉，它就有30几个食堂，好像是38个食堂，你想象不到吧？
I can't imagine.
对对对
What?
对
How do you have
是的，
30?
是的，是的。
Okay.
就像中国有一个，我们的孔院是和华中科技大学合办的 HUST， 那个大学叫 HUST。我知道的，我有很多同学是那个大学的，他们学校就有30几个食堂，对他们非常骄傲。
Crazy. So a university that has like more than 30 cafeterias.
对。
That just doesn't even make sense to me. Like, what are they going? Are they going there to study food? Wait, are they?
不，就单纯学校很大，食堂很多，就这么简单。OK？
Okay. It's very strange, though. I mean, like my university doesn't even have one cafeteria, and that's got like more than 30.
像我觉得这些都是很基本的，像我们学校武汉大学，它也有很多食堂。
So, and that you're not saying 30 restaurants, right? You're saying 30 食堂。
对，对。
那疯了吧？
对啊，不止，对，不只是餐厅。
Okay, so did you know, let me just say, in New Zealand, I thought we banned 塑料袋 plastic bags and the 塑料的那个盒子. Do you know about that?
打包盒。
Yeah. Apparently those were supposed to be banned, but I still see them. I still see them everywhere. Not the plastic bags, but the plastic containers in New Zealand.
对，我也见过。
And then I go to China, and then I feel like there is a trash problem. There has to be like a serious problem with the rubbish, because when you get like YMI, for example, takeaway, it's just like boxes and boxes and containers upon containers of plastic. So I don't know if people think about this or care about this, but it's pretty hard to, I don't know if you can stop that from happening.
其实我也觉得，这个在中国是一个问题，因为打包和浪费这些现象，我觉得确实挺浪费的，对环境不好。
塑料袋就是问题很严重，但是国家也有重视，就是我们会回收快递盒，或者是超市也开始实施禁止使用塑料袋，但是还是有非常多的塑料污染。
就像现在塑料袋的话，可能你在超市也会收钱嘛，就会一个方式就是让它更贵。
对，来禁止你使用。
对，
减少使用。
Can I wrap this up? I feel like I learned some things. I feel like I learned that you can eat duck feet. I didn't know people were eating duck feet, and now I don't know how I'm going to look at ducks the same. I'm going to be thinking about their poor little feet being eaten. We can't finish like this. We have to finish more happily. Yeah.
需不需要我帮你
Yes, please. Please help me.
OK， 这里呢就是 Reagan Radio， 然后经过这期节目 Reagan 学到了很多，他知道了辣有很多的分类，然后呢他也知道了原来中国人可能会吃鸡爪、鸭掌这些部位。
And also the levels of spiciness.
对，他也知道了，辣会有很多的分类，微辣、中辣、重辣、变态辣。
变态辣, yeah, that's
对。
a new word for me. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.